So we'll start from here, equations of motion with perturbations. So we must be familiar with these equations. If we don't put AP, then these are the two-body equations, non-linear equations, and it is written in vector form. So they are three vector equations, and then when you write in when you write in scalar, so x, y, z you can write. So you will get 6 equations, and then you can work with them. And when you integrate them, you will get this 6 constant of integration, and those are your orbital elements. Anyway, today I will see how to derive from this equation the equation of an ellipse, that also I put in my lecture today. We will do that also. So AP is any kind of forces you can put into AP. So these are vector equations. So we have two kind of forces, gravitational and non-gravitational. These are the 4 important forces which act on a satellite. Non-spherical Earth, oblateness, third body, the Earth and Moon, Sun and Moon attraction, and non-gravitational are atmospheric drag and solar radiation pressure. These are the important ones. There are few more, but these are the most important ones which act on an Earth satellite. Now we can write them of conservative perturbations. So if AP, the force function, if they could be written only in terms of position. If they are function of only positions, then, and there is no net energy transfer, the mean semi-major axis in that case is constant, then those perturbation forces are conservative. And in this, examples are oblateness of Earth and lunisolar perturbations. And non-conservative perturbations, if your force function is function of both position and velocity. In atmospheric drag it happens, in radiation pressure also it happens. Because the satellite in radiation pressure, satellite passes through the shadow of the Earth. And that time the force function changes. So it becomes time dependent there. So atmospheric drag and solar radiation pressure, these are the 4 more important forces, but we have some more, which anyway are also sometimes become very useful. So 2 methods of solution we see in literature, 2 general approaches to solve equations of motion with perturbations. Special perturbation method, step-by-step numerical integration. So here we numerically integrate them. And general perturbation method through analytical expansion and integration of equations of orbit parameters. The second one, are of lot of interest to us, where we can do a lot of research. And now presently, since we have a lot of tools to do analytical calculations, so this should be our target, the general perturbation method, and because we can see what kind of work has been carried out earlier and whether we can improve upon. Any improvement is an important contribution, because we will get a better solution, and better solution can be utilized. And especially if we are able to find out a technique where we can find out some expressions which are more simplified, and at the same time and they are also accurate, then we have done a better job. So in that fashion only, that purpose only I started my study on case transformation, and that also I will gradually teach you with time. So in astrodynamics, the oscillating orbit of an object in space at a given, this oscillating is at a time. We assume that no perturbation, so position, velocity, and you convert that. So you get the orbital elements that we have studied that in one of our lectures, that how to convert the position and velocity into orbital elements, where 5 are constant, and the 6th one, the eccentric anomaly or the true anomaly or the mean anomaly, only that will change. That is called fast variable. That only changes with time, because with time you have, it has something has to change. So all other 5 are constant. So, but any other point when you go, when perturbations are there, and if you convert position velocity, you will not get the same orbital elements. What you got, those 5 constants. So that's why at particular time only oscillating elements are called. So this is the concept of this. Earlier also I explained. Now special perturbations, two important methods are there historically. Cowen's method, because these were all used, in our identifying the minor planets and planets and so much. So they are all historical importance, but today also they are equally important. Cole's method. This method is a straightforward, but this is a very straightforward method. You write the equations. You can see that if you put AP is equal to 0, you have two-body problem, non-linear equation, and if all the forces you can write in AP, and then you can write this in terms of first-order equations. You write the R dot is equal to V, and then substitute there. So you will get R double dot will become V double dot. So you have two equations, and then your the standard method of Runge-Kutta method, RK methods, which are very popular. We can use them. They are to start with. They are very useful. And if somebody is looking for very accurate solutions, then there are many methods which literature has provided. And in terms of the coordinates, we can write them in this fashion: x dot, y dot, z dot, and vx dot, vy, vz dot. So the perturbing acceleration AP could be due to presence of any other bodies, moon, sun, planet, or earth. So we can write, this has been written for moon, considering moon as a perturbing. So you can write in this fashion. And then I have taken from Curtis. I have written, this is given in the Curtis book. Specifically, you can write in this fashion. This is similar to what I have written, but I thought the Curtis book is there with you, so you can easily follow from there. And some more development, whatever is there, it is one of the best book I could see. And if sun is there, the perturbator on the satellite, you can see Earth is there, geocentric your coordinate system. So gamma vernal equinox, which defines your x-axis and y-axis and z-axis passing through the pole of the Earth. So then your sun, you can write this gravity, sun gravitational field you can write, and the P you can write. P and AP are same. So his notation is P. So please do not get confused. And this is simple method to just to give a teaching, just to teach a second order differential equation, how to make them first order and then how to integrate them. So this is just to give an illustration of the integration process. Encke's method is because those days when they were done, these methods were done, everything has to be done by hand calculation. There was no calculators, no computer, nothing. So Encke worked on to simplify. So he used the method of reference orbit, the two-body reference, and he found out what is the difference of the perturbed orbit. So that he can save the computer time. So the first equation is the two-body equation. Rho double dot is equal to minus mu by rho cube by rho, and then delta R taken. So when you have the other actual orbit, so R minus rho delta R, you can see in the figure. When this figure is given, delta R, rho is there, the two-body problem at any time t1, and then the actual orbit is there. Then you find delta R. So this is done periodically. This change is found, and that's how he reduces the computer time or the calculation. Those days no computer, calculation time. So number of time they have to calculate by hand. So that was reduced. So these are the you can see here. The whole thing is simple. So when you write the perturbed equation, you can write R double dot plus mu by R cube, R a cube, and you find out delta R. So delta R, when you, delta R is equal to R minus rho, you differentiate it 2 times. So delta R double dot is equal to R double dot minus rho double dot. And rho double dot is given by equation 1, and R double dot is given in by the next equation, and you substitute them. Then you get delta R. So this delta R difference, periodically you substitute. After some time, again new one will come, and so on. And that's how the orbit was calculated. And it saved the computer time, because these are all discrete methods. All these integration methods are all discrete methods. You are only jumping from one point to another point. So covers has got some advantages. It is very simple. Any force you can write just like that, and it's general purpose, no approximations. So you get more accurate solutions in Covers method. Today's day, everybody tries to use Covers method, because NCASE needs your you have to use your intelligence there. You have to use some tricks how to make it in that form. But now computers are very fast, so people in general use Covers method. But they are slow in computation. But today's day, that slow in computation also is not a very big issue. And round of errors may affect accuracy, where step size is too small. Sometimes, like a drag, supposing atmospheric drag we are doing. Now near the perigee, the drag is maximum near the perigee, because it passes through the very the heavy density and values. So there you cannot take larger step size, or wherever any curve is there, otherwise you miss the curve. So perigee, the part of the ellipse, that there you will have to do very accurately. So you have to use a lot of steps. So sometimes you have to use a variable step size integrator, so that you take care of the error, whatever is getting generated there. So these are some of the disadvantages. And advantages are this: simple and general purpose. Similarly, NCASE method can take much larger step size, and thus save computer time. That's the advantage. And equations of motion may be linearized, because sometimes with the help of NCASE method we can do some analytical also calculations. So it helps us mathematicians to help. This NCASE method helps us. But it is complex in formulation. And in the beginning you have to form it very, very carefully. And here also a disadvantage is there: inadequate number of rectification. If we do, we take a very large step size, then we may not end up correct answers. So variation of parameter. This is the method which is of more interest to us. In the presence of perturbations such as drag, also oblateness, third body perturbation, the Kepler orbit, the Keplerian, these elements are called Keplerian orbit, AEI, capital omega, small omega, true anomaly, are no longer constant once perturbation is there. If no perturbation is there, two body problem, first 5 are constant, only theta changes with time. True anomaly only changes. The concept of variation of parameter allows the orbit elements to vary in such a way that at any instant the coordinates and velocity component can be computed from a unique set of two body elements, as if there were no perturbations. So this is a very important concept, variation of parameters. We use it in various schemes, and it helps us to derive the equations of motion also. The equations of variation can be derived from the concept of perturbed variations. The equations of variations can be derived from the concept of perturbed variations. So this helps us to derive. That's how we have seen in KS variables also. This was used, and we got KS element equations. Two approaches: force component approach, Gauss method, and perturbing function approach, Lagrangian method. Two methods are there. Gauss is very general, any kind of force you can use there. Lagrange, you can use only the gravitational forces, which are only function of the position. So Gauss equations, you find out the 3 components of the force in the radial direction, and the normal, and to the tangential, and then normal to that in a right-handed system, coordinate system. And then once you know the component, you put them, and you can then you simplify them, and you can get the different. So this has been utilized by a number of. Now why I want to stress on this is, we have to look back on this. what are the problems we can again redo, where we can improve upon the other solutions, because today's day we have the analytical integrators. We need not do by hand. If something we have to calculate by partial derivative or something, we can use our Mathematica or Maxima or other these softwares. And but aim should be that we should do a better solution than what the other people have done. So we have to relook. I will help people who are want to work in this to formulate the problems, and those who are interested, they can take up these problems, because these will have a direct application. See, finally, when at the end of the day, if your work is used by somebody, you will feel happy. Now you will be, once you get PhD, fine, you got PhD. After some time, you have published paper. If your paper is cited, you feel happy. If your work is being used practically, you feel happy. As I told in the last lecture, when Dr. Takvi is one of the paper, but Dr. Bhatnagar and Takvi's paper we used in our space center, and it might be being used still also. Converting the oscillating element to mean element is not an easy task. So that work is still we can do, because still that was not the complete thing which we do. So if there are some people who are interested, I can help them, and then this work can be, because I know now I have understood the physics much better than I can. Because at this time I myself do not want to engross in the calculations. I can only advise how to do it. I know how to do everything, but I am not going to do myself, because I do not want to take that much. My eyes also, I have to protect my eyes also. So this is these are the equations, but then we have another equations, Lagrange equations, where you can take oblateness, lunisolar perturbations. Still, things are open. Some work has been carried out, but still we do not have mean elements where the effect of moon and sun has been taken properly. We tried in one of the DST project, my student Harish, he developed a theory in case variables, he developed the theory, but still he has studied the motion, but mean elements, he has not used it to compute the mean elements. But mean elements are more easily computed when we do a calculation in these kind of equations, because we need change in these orbital elements. There you have to know again the convert them. So that is still there. There are very limited work available, or very limited work available on unisolar perturbations. Analytical work is there. Is not. I don't say it is not there. It is there, but still a lot of gaps are there where a very good work can be done. If somebody does a good work and says with mean elements, I have done with unisolar perturbations, because some work is available with J2, Earth's oblateness, but a drag may not give a major problem, or radiation pressure also may not give that much major problem in terms of short periodic perturbation. You need to have short periodic perturbations for calculating the mean elements, because as I told you, the oscillating elements are equal to mean elements plus the short periodic perturbations, and short periodic perturbations are function of the mean elements. So if they are if we are having a satellite which is say the perigee is of the order of say 1000 kilometer or say 600 kilometer, and apogee is say order of 20,000 kilometer. We have all kind of satellites now in orbit. They're getting a mean element, oscillating element. As I told you, oscillating element is only one at one time. Next time the orbit will change, and I already showed you for a sun-synchronous orbit of our PSLV mission, it has changed by some 30 to 35 kilometer in semi-major axis in oscillating state. So it doesn't have any meaning if I say semi-major axis, because what I will do with 35 kilometers. So a mean element is mean orbit is required, and that comes when we know a good analytical theory. Then only. Today also this light is giving problem. So gone now. I hope we will be able to continue our thing. So to obtain, today I am not going to. I do not have still McCaskey. Dr. Rajiv Agarwal sent me, but I could not open it. the derivation, to these equations in McCaskey book is given best. And Dr. Bhatnagar has taught us when I was a space dynamics student there in 6970. He taught how to derive these planetary equations from using this the Lagrangian brackets. So I have taken some derivation from another book I was having. That is also a good book, but his notations are different. You see that del r by del t, he writes raised to power t. He writes for that AP value, AP function. So this I am just going to show you, but the strength of this Lagrangian brackets. Suppose that Q1, Q2, Qp is a system of canonical coordinates on a phase space. If each of them is expressed as a function of two variables uv, okay, thank God, has come. Then the Lagrangian bracket ub is defined by the formula uv equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n del pi del qi by del u del pi by del v minus del pi by del u del qi by del v. That is the definition of the Lagrangian bracket. Now these Lagrangian bracket help us to derive these Lagrangian planetary equations, from the very fundamentals. And I think one of the lecture I will take up once I get McCaskey book. I'll read it, because I remember roughly, because that was in our course and we were evaluated on that. So probably when I read it, I will get back very easily to those derivations. So I've written alpha beta del r by, now r and v we know, del r by del l, alphas are your orbital elements, del alpha I del alpha j minus del alpha r del alpha j del dot del v. R and V are your velocity and position vectors. So these are all Lagrangian brackets. The alpha I, alpha j, they equal to 0. Del alpha y, del alpha j is equal to the minus del alpha j, del alpha I, and del of del t, del alpha I, alpha j, they are equal to 0. So these are all, they come. So that has helped, these properties of Lagrangian brackets has helped to simplify those equations. So when you start, these equations, the notations are different there. So that's why I will just quickly tell you. The right side is your force function and how to write that in this form. And del r by del alpha you can write del r by del r, del r by del alpha, and then one of the Lagrangian bracket, you see written alpha I, alpha j. So these partial derivatives, you can read them. They are not that difficult to understand. An important property of Lagrange matrix L is displayed when we calculate the partial derivative of the Lagrange bracket with respect to t. And this, with respect to t, when we calculate del of del t, alpha I, alpha j, and we can calculate in this fashion. And if v is our mu by r, and del v by del r, we can calculate in this fashion. And you see that now downwards. So del by del t, del alpha I, del alpha j. Finally, with all these things, it has come 0. And that is what the see. It is there. This is one of the property. Del alpha I, del alpha j, that has come equal to 0. So these are all proved there in that book, McCaskey book. They are all proved. And typically they are calculated, I omega, all these, they will come in the calculations. So they have been all calculated. And these are your alpha t. See, he writes the notation in that book. I forgot the author's name. L omega I, these are the orbital elements. Lambda is written in terms of the minus nt is the lambda, and n is the mean motion. So this is like mean anomaly. So you are writing in this form. So only non-zero will be left. This you see only 6 are these are only left. I omega n a b sin I, omega small omega capital omega 0, and a capital omega this value minus half nb. N is the mean motion cos I, and then these are the all values. Other values are all 0. So only these non-zeros values are only this many. Now when you write this fellow L del alpha by del t equal to del r by del raised to t may be written in the component form. See, left hand side has been expanded. So you got all those things, and right side is all the partial derivatives with respect to the orbital elements. And now this is what it has come. Now substituting all these values and then simplifying, you get this. So you got the Lagrange planetary equations. If McKeskey gives, as I told you, McKeskey gives a little better. Maybe I studied that time, and Dr. Bhatnagar taught us, so maybe that was. But it looks to me that that book gives a little better way. But this book may be also okay, because we have to go little more carefully into the derivation, so we can derive these things. So these are the Lagrangian planetary equations. So they have come from the very fundamental definition. These are all the change in the 6 orbital elements. So once you know R, your perturbing function as function of your orbital, it will be function of only position. So position will be function of the certain orbital elements. So you can find out the partial derivatives, and then you can calculate the left hand side. Only it's a function of time. So you can calculate the time derivatives there. It may be noted that these equations are regress. They are regress. They were originally derived for a perturbation given by another planet. Because that time planets only, when they were there, they were working for planets. No satellites that time. They hold when R is due to many other causes, such as the shape and distribution of mass within the planet acting upon a close satellite. The analytical form of R will depend upon the force at work. Now, summary of the special and general perturbation methods. Advantage, what are the advantages of the special perturbation? High precision, because Covell's method, that gives the best solution, provided you use a good numerical integrator, and it is general purpose. Simplicity of formulation. And disadvantage is slow computation. And the application is in orbit. See, in orbit determination, because now we look for millimeter kind of accuracy or even less than that. So we cannot afford to lose the accuracy of the orbit. So we have to find a very accurate orbit. So for that, we use at times this. We might get first order. We may use both. We may use the analytical methods and get the orbit approximately or almost nearby, and then use the special perturbation method and get the very correct orbit, and use very sophisticated force model also. So high accuracy orbit prediction, navigation, these are all the applications for special perturbation. General perturbation is analytical, fast computation. You can do because these are all, you have to put only your independent, and then you go on calculating the orbit. So, but for modeling, for doing the when you want to, any project is designed, so you have to do 1,000 time calculations, many times. So that time, these methods, they help you, because you have to quickly get the solutions. Orbit type dependent, time consuming formulation, because they depend upon the orbit, and time consuming formulation. Mission design and analysis, long term orbit prediction. You can do long term orbit prediction. Okay, some inaccuracies will be there, but and parametric study you can do, because when we do a mission planning, then parametric study is very important. We cannot go for a special perturbation in mission planning. At that time, we need very many solutions, and those many solutions, come from our general perturbation methods by analytical solutions. Now, this is one of the very fundamental. I thought you must have some idea. This was the one of the first paper on Earth's oblateness written by Kozai. He was working in US at that time. He's a Japanese person. And I happened to see him in 2005, I think, or 1990 and 98. I think I saw him in Japan. I was in a conference there, but at that time he's not working in this area. He was working in somewhere in particle physics or some other area he was working. But I just met him. But very good contributions originally he has made in the literature. So he has taken, this A2, A3, A4 are similar to J2, J3, J4, only you have to multiply by some 2 by 3, 3 by 2, like that. So they are like that. He has put them, and delta is the declination. which is defined in terms of inclination and true anomaly and small omega, sine delta. That is sine I into sine true anomaly plus the argument of perigee. And R is your A into 1 minus E, 1 plus E cos. That is your radial distance in terms of the true anomaly. So this he took J2, J3, J4, and he developed an analytical solution. And this solution remained historical. Still, people may, one person he did in UK, he was evaluating his method. He says the method is excellent, except for there was one minor error. See, they have done all hand calculations. So if one minor error or some error has nothing to worry as such. Everybody is doing by hand only those days. So this is R. No, you are written U minus that you subtract the gravitational potential, and then this is the perturbing potential left as a function of A2, I'll call them A2, A3, A4. Now this is a relation between true anomaly, mean anomaly. These are used, and this bar over that A by R, this is the mean values. So when you calculate mean values, you integrate, you average it out over mean anomaly, because these A by R etc. are coming. So evaluated the mean anomaly 0 to 2 pi and 1 upon 2 pi, and then whatever function is there, and with respect to the mean anomaly dm. So many values were calculated, and some of the values were 0, whereas sine and cosine periodic functions, they became all 0 there. So he calculated these things. Some of the values non-zero, zero values he has calculated. These are all very, I have taken from his paper. This paper was, I downloaded. I thought I must present to you this thing, because this is of historical importance, but it's still very useful. Still people use it. So now what happens, see, the R was there. R he has written perturbing function. These are all to show how the simplifications will come, the average values. Now R1, R2, R3, R4, please see. R1 contains only, it does not contain small omega. It does not contain true anomaly. It does not contain capital omega also. It contains only A, E and I. So this R1 only gives you the secular terms. From where we got, that restricted three-body problem, n square is equal to 1 plus 3a by 3 by 2a1, whatever we got there, that was the one this gives. So A2 means J2. But if we take R2, this also, J4 term also, so some more thing can be added there, but the value will be small. Value, some people have added in literature in restricted three-body, they have taken J2 term also, and they added some term there. So, but it gives not only on mean motion, it gives on something else also, that we will see. R3, you see R3 contains small omega, I, E, etc. E and those things, and the small omega, it contains sine small omega is there, cos 2 omega is there, and sine square I is there, E is there, and A is there. And R4 contains the true anomaly V. You see in the last line, half sine square I cos 2 omega plus V plus omega. So V is the true anomaly. So the short periodic terms come from R4. So he has made R1 is first order secular, R2 is second order secular, because J4 is going. See, J3 does not give any secular term. You can see there, J3 is not giving, because A3 terms are coming, J3 or A3, as I told you, that you do not have to worry. It's only a multiplication by 2 by 3 or 3 by 2. That has no great difficulties. So R3 is now, the long period contains both A3 and A4 terms will be there, and R4 short periodic terms are only by J2. You don't have by J3 and J4. That is the thing which he identified. I have taken these things from his paper only. I am having a paper. Those who want, I can send it also. But now these are the all your equations which the Lagrange planetary equations. Now these were available to him. He has now gone one by one. First he said these relations, whatever he needed, he got. T in terms of true anomaly, etc. He has located, because he wanted whatever he wanted. He has those things he has found out. Now the di by dis, he has calculated the average values 0 to pi with respect to true anomaly. He is finding out now. The ds he has calculated. So this ds has come this value. You can see here a2, and this is a function of the small omega, the v, and omega is also there. So this is short periodic terms. So the short periodic terms, wherever true anomaly will come or mean anomaly, V is working only with true anomaly. So true anomaly will come. They are all short periodic. This is change in short period. Whatever oscillations I showed you in my earlier lecture, that it can vary by some 30 kilometer. So this comes by this. And similarly in the eccentricity, the same method he uses. And similarly the eccentricity, this is the expression for the eccentricity. And then this is for this small omega, argument of perigee. And argument of perigee, when the orbit is very circular, the eccentricity is very small, then omega definitely becomes difficult. So then they will define another parameter, and so with that they will work. And so you have this inclination, short periodic term is there. So when as true anomaly changes from 0 to 360, these values will change. We can see omega will change very little there, but the true anomaly will change from 0 to 360 during a revolution. And this is the capital omega s and mean anomaly. Now this average value he has found. He averaged those things. Average values he has found. So he was working on a plan, because he has to tell what are the mean values, what are the long periodic, short periodic, all those things. 59, friends, 59. So now 61 years are over. Mean values of the short periodic perturbations are non-zero except those for A. So A, there is no short periodic terms. The mean values are not there. Their mean values with respect to MR. So he has calculated with respect to mean anomaly. All these values. So therefore, the dE minus dE bar, d omega s by d omega s bar, he called them must be the short periodic perturbations. He called them the short periodic perturbations, whose mean value with respect to mean anomaly are 0. Expression of the mean anomaly and the argument of perigee are rather complicated, so it is better to combine the 4 elements A, E, small omega, and M into radius vector and argument of latitude. Latitude is V plus true anomaly plus the argument of perigee, small omega, by the following relation. dr by A he has calculated and dV he has calculated. Putting now in this value dA, and then he calculates d omega, and dm he calculates. Now the derivation of the radius vector and argument of latitude of the satellite from those computed by orbital elements are obtained as. Then he computes these things. dr by dA, and then dl he computes. The secular perturbations of first order are easily derived. Now r is equal to r1. He writes where we are looking for small omega and capital omega. The small omega is there, capital omega is there, and mean anomaly is there, and mean motion, that n is nothing but the mean motion. So this is where when I started my restricted three body, Denby said, Denby was my thesis examiner, he said, I did not take in my the thesis this effect. He said, you have taken mean motion, oblatence effect you have not taken. So you take. So this was added. Okay. But neither he told nor we knew, this was not added. These two were not added. This also makes, because this changes the plane. Plane rotates about its about its axis. It has it rotates about the center, and this also goes forward and backward. And when they are in the orbital plane, so they are all these oblatence effect will be playing role there also, because they are not singular there. So these effects, when we added to elliptic restricted three-body problem, we located a new mean motion. And then that mean motion, and when we made it to a circular restricted three-body problem, we found that what we are using, nu square is equal to 1 plus 3 by 2a2 a1 3 by 2 a1. It becomes nu square is equal to 1 plus 6 a1. So 3 by 2 becomes 6. 4 times the increase is there because of these two. One increases, one decreases when you add these things. When I is equal to 0, I is equal to 0, this fellow will not come. So like that, we have given a derivation also. The paper is available. I think we have put it in the open. It is there in the open literature now. So it was now presented in AIA, one of the journal conferences, and now it has come in this thing. But before that also it was utilized in some papers. So that is how the logic was like that. Originally, I started my restricted three-body with oblateness with n is equal to 1. So this was not taken. Then we said no. So I had to revise my thesis. So this was added. And then that nu square is equal to 1 plus 3 by 2 a2 happened. But then one of my students was working on elliptic. I did not work on elliptic much because in ISRO we were not given much importance to these activities. So I shifted myself to case transformation more and applications to the missions. But only some work we were doing as our interest. We worked some nonlinear work we did. One nonlinear we did on nonlinear stability of with restricted three-body with oblateness. So that work we took. And less work only later on. Pancake surface action or some students were doing. So I did, but I did not went into. But now when then we looked for mean motion. Then we saw in literature they have also people have taken the same thing. Whatever is in circular, they have taken into the same thing in elliptical, but that was not true. We have seen you can see that paper. That is not true. Elliptic cannot go just like that. It has to have a different mean motion. So, but we from that mean motion, because it is elliptic restricted, from there elliptic to circular, you can get it. You can put E is equal to 0. You can get for circular. So that's how we made it. But we practically derived it for elliptic restricted three-body problem, and we did that job. So, friends, this is the one where it comes from. This is the mean motion, which he said this happens. And still, I have a feeling if you look carefully, some more work can be done on this mean motion and how it is going to affect various things, because we have seen that when you take the mean motion effect, this new one, the critical mass, when small primary is taken, it is increasing critical mass. When you take the bigger primary, it is decreasing. So there will be some place where it will be having same. Neither it will decrease nor it will increase. It might come as a curve. It may come as a straight line. We do not know unless we do it. So this is, these are all average values. He has calculated all these integrals, and then he has calculated the expression for long periodic perturbations also. Long periodic perturbations are there. The I and these are all long periodic perturbations. And as I told you, the long periodic perturbations in here, A3 is coming. You see A3. King Haley, today only I came to know Professor King Haley died in December 2019. Actually, I will give one more lecture where I will to you where I will will show. He did in 1958 a paper similar to this, but not this method. He has used another method. So now I want to, as to remember him, I will do that, because that is where another paper which we have used somehow, some of our work recently and that paper also I will try to because I understood that paper quite okay. I will that paper also I will deliver in one of the lectures. He has died. He was, because I have used and I had personal correspondence with him. In fact, there was once a chance for me to work with him, but there was a slight problem because we work in space department, so a lot of permissions are necessary and all that. So all those things were there, but it is okay anyway. That is what we have, what we are. We are. So omega, capital omega dot, small omega dot. These are all the things which he has calculated. Long periodic by short periodic he has calculated. So it was a complete paper by itself. And that's why, it was utilized for a long time, long time. There is one more paper by, it was done by, nowadays I'm not, since I'm not referring to some names, but that also paper also I will tell you. He has used the Hamiltonian approach to do it up to J5. I think he did this work. So that also through, he has used the method of averaging to do some elimination. So that also try to see whether we can. I will go to friends to restricted problem also, but we have a plan. We do not want to stop this lecturing only for few lectures. So it will continue. As Dr. Rajiv Agrawal said, sir, you have to continue this for more time. So that's why I'm going systematically, so that you learn the things and become, and this group who are there should come out with new things and do a wonderful work. That is the aim. So everything he did, and this was a perfect paper. You see here, for the small values also he did long periodic perturbations, and those anybody interested, this full paper also is there with me. Now I tell you a simple. This is from Danby's book. Danby was my, was my examiner, thesis examiner, and he asked me to revise, and it was good. He asked me to revise because that made, even then I was sad at that time, but today or later I was happy because the work which I did later became very important, because this mean motion only played an important role. See, some of the papers are referred now around 130, 40 times. And in my thesis, they are hardly 2 or 3 pages, but they are referred in the literature for 130 times and 140 times, like that. They have gone now. They are going. So this drag perturbation is because this is again this area where we can use this drag in restricted three-body problem. There is a limited work. Some work is there where that also I will tell you how restricted three-body problem this can be used. Some thing is there already. And since I have enough knowledge in this area, having worked in ISRO for this and having developed so many theories in this drag, we will see how we can work with drag perturbations in restricted three-body problem. See, restricted three-body problem is still an important area. Still an important area. It will remain important. Even then, many things are moving in elliptic orbit, slightly elliptic orbit. But to first order circular orbits, we can imagine, and still they work. So you can see the very good, derivation is there. dV by dt is the force, thrust. It is written thrust. I have taken from his book only. Now V square, this is the fundamental equation, which is called Vis-Viva equation. Velocity square function of this mu is the gravitational constant, 2 by r minus 1 by a. This is one of the fundamental. Now you differentiate this with respect to a. You differentiate with respect to a. Now you get 2v dv, and only a you differentiate. R you don't change. So you get mu dA divided by a square. And so you can get dA by, and you use the equation 1, and then you will get dA by dt equal to 2v a square mu by t. Now we will, these three equations, we will only look for dA by dt. Other will also similarly come, but we are not interested right now. We will just see how to derive this from very first principles. dA by dt equal to, we will get an expression for drag, which is, King Halley was the master in this. King Halley has written a book, and that book, King Halley book, we could not buy because that book he wrote in 87. Its cost was 21,000 rupees, and you cannot download even a part of that book from the anywhere. So King Halley book is he has written 2 books, one in 64, one in 87, and great. He has done great work. He has found only the J3 also, that North Pole is today only I saw when I was seeing is this thing, and then only I came to know, oh, December 2019 he died. Then he just died in recently only. And that North Pole and South Pole, there is a difference of around 45 meters. That King Halley only located by his theories. You see, mathematicians have done wonders. We shall consider only the equation for dA by dt only. Now, for a satellite, we can write mass into the force is equal to half CD A rho V square. This is a very fundamental equation for a satellite. And there, where CD is the drag coefficient, A is the effective area, and rho is this is looking like P, but it is rho is the air density, and V is the velocity. This is very fundamental when drag, because the resistive force, when it passes through, satellite passes through, it loses some of its energy. So you can substitute this T there in the previous equation. In this T, you use here, this equation and substitute here. dA by dt you get in this form. And now what you do is, again you go back to this V square, this equation. And we have an equation, for a wonderful equation, R is equal to all this I taught you. R is equal to A into 1 minus E cos A. Minus is missing here. I have to correct it. Minus is here to be done. That A 1 minus E cos C. So once you substitute, you get into this form. And then Kepler equation you use, M is equal to E minus E sin E is equal to N into T minus tau. And when you substitute this, you get dt. dt is equal to, you substitute the value of mean motion also. Mean motion you have in terms of A and mu. And then when you substitute dt, now you got. Now this dt and V square you substitute in the previous equation. This previous equation, dA by dt. You substitute dt and this V equation. And when you substitute there, you get dA by dt. Now you see, this is ideal. This is ready for integration. You can see there. If you know density, it is ready for integration. A mathematician will love to see this, because CD is constant, A is constant, A is constant. In the beginning of the orbit, mass is constant, and density only now is a thing. At particular height, density is also constant. So this is ready for integration. And this is where this the fundamental equation is derived from the very first principles. Now I tell you one more thing, and with that, this I discussed, but quickly I will discuss again, because I want to tell you how important the modeling becomes. See, this is the 11-year solar cycle, and the values which I have shown you is F10.7 in AP. They are the atmospheric density changes with these values. Whenever F10.7 values are more, the density will be more. So satellite will decay faster. And this AP value, geomagnetic index, these values normally they remain average, but there are sometimes geomagnetic storms. Then this value can go even up to 90, 100, and even sometimes more. But these are what is shown there. Here it is a average values only in this graph, which are shown there. And you can see this solar cycle it has got 11 year. From minima to the other one, we take 11 years. But sometimes that may change. 11 is an approximate value. Now this was, the one which we did for our RS-1, first satellite which India launched. So I will not go into detail, which we discussed once only. So what I want to discuss is, we use these equations. These are the KS equations, Kustanimo-Stiefel equations of motion. So this is the Kowal's method. What I just now discussed with you, the Kowal's method. So we use these equations. Now these are 10 in number. First equation will change the time, the energy, d omega energy change, and second will be time. Time also is calculated, because the independent variable is the eccentric anomaly, and alpha beta are the 4 vector, because they are alpha beta, alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha 4, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4, like that. So the 10 equations, and we integrated by Runge-Kutta, fourth order Runge-Kutta-Gill method. And you can see this, how this U and U star can be written. And these are all the transformations. And this is the L matrix, Levi-Civita matrix, which Levi-Civita did a 2-dimensional. He was also a great mathematician in 1906. And my work started with Levi-Civita transformation. because Dr. Bhatnagar, when he did his work, he has used this in his, because regularization or two-body problem, one of the contribution of Dr. Bhatnagar was he has regularized two dimension to three dimension for a small parameter mu of the order of mu. He defined a transformation, and two dimension to three dimension in a three dimensional space, but it goes limited. But this works everywhere. But he worked in a, so his work there in his periodic orbits of collision, what he was studying in elliptic stability body, he used that theory. But I did not. I took an idea from his thesis for the all the things. But I worked on two-body problem with the circular restricted. But I took oblateness of the bigger primary, more massive primary. I took the oblateness of that with its equatorial plane, coincident plane of motion. Beginning, I took n is equal to 1, which was anyway, some papers were, they are there in the friends, they are there in the literature, quite a few, with the n is equal to 1. But later on, when then we said, you are wrong, you have to do this n is equal to, and then he told, I will advise you whatever you want. Then, in fact, he reduced my thesis content also. One paper, something I had done on stability, etc. He said, you don't have to worry this. Include. And finally, when he examined my thesis, my original, because we were typing only thesis, so he did not return my original, went to him. So I do not have the original. He kept it. He did not. He told the university, I don't want your fees. I am keeping this thesis with me. That's all. So the thesis was kept by him only. So friends, here you check, the checks are there in this case transformation. This helped us quite a lot for whether our calculations are going on well or no. Because anytime this your state vectors, the last line 0 you see, and energy also. Energy can go in other one also, even we can form. But this one, the alpha betas, they are forming right sign equal to 0. You see this, that is how those days computers were not very powerful. So I use only 36 steps per revolution. It's not a big this thing. Today's day, somebody will do, they will use 360 steps per revolution, and the solutions will come. But still, you see, they are only linearly varying, and 10 to the -9 delta has changed. Right hand side should be 0, but I am getting this kind of thing. So that means my solutions were quite okay. And this is the day, from very first day up to 400 days integration, non-numerical integration is done. So the math, this is because these equations are, even when you, that also when I tell, they are stable. Newtonian equations are numerically unstable. They are unstable. If you find out their eigenvalues, you will find that they will be some positive values also will get. You don't get imaginary values. So analytical oblate atmosphere we used, and we at that time that was the knowledge. But if I had used this value diagonally, which I use later in my numerical work, things would have come wonderfully well. But with oblate, the modeling was what results have come, and then I have used the J2 to J6 in this model, and all other things we have taken perfectly. So this was the comparison. See, for elliptic, as long as it was elliptic, it was quite okay. But day to night density variations work when the orbit becomes more circular. Sometimes the density at apogee at perigee at apogee becomes more than perigee. Supposing the perigee is there in the shadow and apogee is there in the sunlight, so it can happen, and then our oblate atmosphere doesn't work. So I wanted to tell that thing that day. I didn't tell you because this was not there. So I thought I just tell you this. Similarly, here also it happened. And the inclination also, you see how with the time, as you come nearer to the Earth, the inclination variations are also, these are all mean elements. And these are all used, Dr. Takvi and Dr. Bhatnagar's theory used here. Bhatnagar's and Takvi's theory was used there for converting mean elements. And they are very, you can see, so much, if the mean elements were not good, we would not have got this kind of, the in the curves. And now I take another few minutes, maybe another 10 minutes to give you a derivation of this derivation also I have taken from Curtis book, Wonderful. No other equation, book has given so properly. See, we are starting from 2D, and we will get the equation of an ellipse from here, and without making any major problems. So you see the first equation. This is the vector equation. You can write three equations in the Cartesian form. X double dot is equal to minus mu by r cube x, like that. And r you can write. And r dot is r dot. And now we will use this. Only everything is vectors there. So vector, normally mathematicians are good in vectors. So we don't have to worry. A cross B cross C is B A dot C minus C A dot B. R dot R is R square. So this differentiation we are making. And R cross H. Now we have multiplied the first equation by H, angular momentum. Angular momentum we have multiplied. One place I have proved also. If it is not there, I will prove it. Angular momentum also by vectors we can prove angular momentum is constant in 2D problem. Small proof is there. So you multiply both sides by H, and H is R cross V. So you can write H. You can write differentiation of this. We have written, and R double dot cross H. We can write into this form. Angular momentum H dot is because H is 0, H is constant, so H dot will be 0. So that it reduces to, because H dot is coming in the second one, so that doesn't come. R double dot cross H is equal to d dt of R dot cross H. So now right hand side of equation 2. Equation 2 is here. This equation 2, right hand side, now you write R cross H. H can be written R cross V, and you write your A cross B cross C formula. Simplify it, and you get last line, beautiful line. Now d dt of R by R, you have written. Therefore, 1 by R cube R cross R by is equal to minus d by dt R by R. And d dt of R dot cross H becomes now d dt of R by R. And now you both the side d dt here you take common. The other side you take, and R dot cross H minus R by R equal to 0. And then you integrate. So you get a constant there. Now C is called Laplace vector. Now taking dot product on both the sides of this. You take dot product of both the sides of this, and that logic will tell you that C dot H will be 0. Now R dot cross is perpendicular to R dot and H. That is definition of the A cross B. And so R dot cross H dot H will be 0 in this equation. In this equation, first is 0, and similarly H is R cross R dot is perpendicular to R and R dot. So we get H dot R, because R is there in the orbital plane, H is there perpendicular to the orbital plane, so R dot H is also 0. So in this left hand side, both your things are 0 in this last equation. So C dot H is 0. C dot H is 0. So C is perpendicular to H, which is normal to the orbital plane. So H is normal to the orbital plane. That we have already we have seen, and that of course means that Laplace vector must lie in the orbital plane. And we were at that time when we were converting the orbital elements into the position and velocity into the orbital elements. We said the eccentricity vector is passing through the perigee. So that is the same vector here. It is coming. Now let us rearrange equation 4 and rewrite it as this equation. Equation 4 we are rewriting this in this form, because now we are writing E also we have introduced there, because we have written E is equal to C by mu. We have written there in this form 5, where E is equal to C by mu. The dimensionless vector is called eccentricity vector. Now they take the dot product on both sides of 4 with the position vector R. So here itself you can take dot. It should be 5 actually. Dot product of 5 with the position vector R then r dot r dot r. Yeah, r you are taking. Dot product only you are taking. That is okay. R dot r by r plus r dot e, and then this is there. Now r dot r cross h you write is equal to h square. So you replace that. So you get r dot r is r square. So r plus r dot e is equal to h square by mu. Equation number 8. And now since we have r dot e is equal to r e cos theta, because that r is that is your equation. R e cos theta is the eccentricity and theta is the true anomaly. Then we get r plus r e cos theta is equal to h square by mu, or r is equal to h square by mu and to 1 upon 1 plus. And this is the equation which we utilize a number of times. So what we have done is we have got it we started from here and did some vector manipulations, and we have got this equation. Okay, so this is how today's lecture.